All right, welcome to a special edition of Loud. This is actually not special at all, nor is it fun. We're going to take the next hour on this program and remember the life and the music of Layne Staley. All right, so welcome to Loud. My name is Stroumboulopoulos. As we said, this whole hour is going to be dedicated to the life and the music and the passion and the love that was Layne Staley, who was the front man for the band Alice in Chains. On the 19th of this month, on Friday, Layne was found in his apartment, and he was dead. And apparently he had been dead for about 2 weeks, which is, I guess, the most heartbreaking thing of all this, because that's the biggest sign of loneliness. They had no cause of death at the moment for the death of Layne, but they did say that it could have been possibly natural causes or a heroin overdose. They did find heroin paraphernalia all around his apartment, like I said, 2 weeks before they found his body, and he was 34 years old. So what we're going to do for this next hour is play the music of Alice in Chains and just, I guess, go back over the time and play some of the interview clips of Layne Staley from Alice in Chains. This here is the old basement of the Power 30, and when the Power 30 was on, and in the early 90s when it first broke, man, Layne and Alice in Chains were a very big part of this station and a very big part of this program. So we'll begin, I guess, with the song that everybody first heard about when it came to this band and the words of Layne Staley from Alice in Chains.
These songs are pretty dark. Does that reflect, you know, what you say you write about yourselves?
It's just writing about things, feelings, not that we're dark or depressed, but just,
we would be if
just
we
as
did.
much as anyone else is, Other bands choose to write about things they don't know shit about, like babes and cars, it's parties and going out on a Saturday night and getting in a fight and all that bullshit, It's
A lot of political stuff.
We write about ourselves because we know about ourselves. We don't know, I'm not, any authority to write on any political, nothing,
What's
I know about
Box
myself. It's kind of loosely based on media censorship, but only my theory. So it's not a fact or a statement.
It's about veal.
Plus, I was really stoned when I wrote it, so it meant something different then.
Right, you're watching Loud. There's Man on the Box from Alice in Chains. This hour is dedicated to the life and the music of Layne Staley from Alice in Chains, who has been found dead. He was 34 years old. Man has said a lot, and very few of those things he said were actually caught on camera, but over the last 10 years or so, Layne has come through MuchMusic quite a bit. So for the remainder of the show, we're going to run some clips, some fun ones, some not-so-fun ones, and look at the look in Jerry Cantrell's face on a clip we play a little bit later on when she asks him about the condition of Layne Staley. Lots more to talk about with a band that was a pretty big part of all of our lives in the early 90s.
We just got together to have fun, Get drunk and go to parties and be the best band we could, and be the best band in Seattle, basically, is what our goal was. Because that was our world to that point, It was just the town, and we accomplished that goal, and it got a whole lot bigger,
Okay, there's the guys talking about the formation of Alice in Chains and how and why they came together and all that. They came out of that really, really exciting scene of music, late 80s, early 90s, on the Northeast, out in America. Seattle was something, man. It was such a great place for music. Think about it, Mother Love Bone was there. As a matter of fact, one of Alice in Chains' first live performances ever was opening for Mother Love Bone, and on the single soundtrack there's a song called Wood, W-O-U-L-D, and that song was actually written about Andrew Wood, who's the lead singer of Mother Love Bone, who also died of a heroin overdose. You can see this has just been something that was part of their culture, a part of Layne's culture, and it's sad that while he sang a song dedicated to the memory of his friend who lost his battle with drugs, you know, this is the same situation that has happened here. This is the video, this is the song. It's Alice in Chains, Wood on Loud. All right, there's Alice in Chains as we continue our look at the life of Layne Staley here on this special edition of Loud, coming to you from the basement where we used to shoot the Power 30. And as I mentioned off the top of the show, this is a very big part of this show at this time was the music of Alice in Chains. You know when you all go through a really shitty period in your life? Everybody does it, right? Everybody has a really down time, and you pick a record. You pick, there's an album that's sort of the soundtrack to the really tough time of your life. Mine was Jar of Flies. That was the record that I listened to from Alice in Chains, because there's this big metal band that made all these big sounds, stripped it all down and make the kind of acoustic record that really, really, really brought you down. And it became the soundtrack to the part of your life that most of us don't even actually want to recall as we get older. And it's funny because Layne has been very, very open about his walk with the dark side. You saw him on the front cover of a magazine. There was once where he was saying Alice in Chains, Welcome to Their Nightmare. I remember seeing a front cover of a Rolling Stone magazine once. It was a really honest, stripped-down photo of Layne Staley's face. And you know the whole connection with Neil Young and grunge and all that. And had his face and it said, Layne Staley, the needle and the damage done. Obviously referencing the Neil Young quote, and I'm talking about Layne Staley's battle with heroin. But Jar of Flies was that record that when they put that out, everybody really got it. And really understood that these guys were not messing around, and the things they were singing about and the songs they were playing were very serious, honest songs. This is not a show that's sitting here telling you that heroin, don't do drugs. Obviously, we don't have to tell you that, but that's not what we're doing here. This is just a way to remember the passion for people and what happens when you lose somebody. And when you lose an artist, often they've spoken to you in a lot of different ways, and Alice in Chains did for me, especially with this album. This is I Stay Away. It's Alice in Chains on Loud.
How do you think the audience is reacting to the new album?
Very badly. Very, very badly. Oh, I think they dig it. I think they dig my hairdo.
Do you consider yourselves a hair band then?
Hell yes. Can I say hell? Yeah, we're a hair band. We got the best hair in rock and roll.
Okay.
I'm a wild front man. I'm jumping all over. I do dance moves and stage rap.
Have you ever walked on stage and busted an arm, or what's the worst thing that ever happened to you?
There's a couple incidents, both real hammered. Halloween night 2 years ago, wore a mini skirt on stage. We played at a cowboy bar, and I was drinking tequila slammers. Came out on stage strapped to a crucifix, and told everyone to f*** off, and started playing with myself. Fell off the stage about 8 times, and got kicked out of the place. Another time in front of my parents, the first time that they'd seen us in about a year, and was drinking tequila, and fell off the stage about 10 times, and told everyone to f*** off, and I had a good time, actually.
All right, there you go. There's Layne Staley, obviously having a little fun, I guess at the expense of himself and his lifestyle and perhaps some of the damage that it caused. Here's a quote that puts it in perspective about what Layne went through when it came to battling drugs. Here's a quote, which is he's saying right here. He said, "When I tried drugs, they were great, and they worked for me for years, and now they're turning against me, and now I'm walking through hell, and this sucks." This is Layne realizing that it doesn't last. It certainly doesn't. Heroin addiction is something that battles or that attacks a lot of people. A lot of people have a lot of different demons that they are fighting against, and if you need help, and most, you know, you do, if you have this situation, here's a phone number you can call. It's the Center for Addiction and Mental Health. The number is 1-800-463-6273. 1-800-463-6273. Again, this is not a big 1-hour show saying, don't do drugs. No, it's not that at all. It's just saying if you're sick and you need help, there are people out there that want to help you. And as you know, it's no such thing as a victimless crime here. It doesn't work that way. It affects everybody in your life, as we are all affected by the loss of Layne Staley from Alice in Chains. There's Rooster from Alice in Chains. It's a song that introduced a lot of you to the band. It was a song Jerry Cantrell wrote about his father and his time in the military. And even though it's a Jerry song, it talks about family. And Alice in Chains was a family, and you'll see Jerry talk about that a little bit later on in the show, just kind of the relationship that he had with Layne Staley. Obviously, the death is a sad loss, but to the people who knew him the best and the closest, we can't imagine the scope of pain that they're feeling. Here's a statement from, I guess, the family of Alice in Chains. They said, "Mostly we are feeling heartbroken over the death of our beautiful friend. He was a sweet man with a keen sense of humor and a deep sense of humanity. He was an amazing musician, an inspiration, and had a comfort to so many. He also made great music and gifted it to the world. We are proud to have known him, to be his friend, and to create music with him." The media has a tendency, as you know, to get so far into people's personal lives, which, you know, is what it is, I guess. But don't let your cynicism get in the way. This is not the story of another dead rock star. This is a guy who lost his life, a guy who had a family, who had friends, had a mother, and his family have actually asked the media to respect the privacy of the family, and we hope that everybody goes along with this one. They've also asked that if you're going to make any donations, that there is a place you send it to. It's in Washington. It's called the East Side Recovery Center. Right, here's the address coming up. East Side Recovery Center, 1412 140th Place Northeast, Bellevue, Washington, 98007. It's called the East Side Recovery Center. Here's the address again, 1412 140th Place Northeast, Bellevue, Washington, 98007. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Loud as we continue to talk to you here in the basement of MuchMusic, where we used to shoot the old Power 30. We come down here because, you know, when Power 30 was a big show, when it was on every night, Alice in Chains made a huge part of it. Hell, that's when I first saw the video. It was on this show right here. Probably came from this basement back when Teresa used to host the program. And the thing about Alice in Chains that was so interesting was were the things that they sang about. If you listen to the subject matter, songs like Them Bones, you know, songs that tackled heroin, you know, like Godsmack and Junkhead. And the subject matter always went down the dark road. And you know when you watch bands sing about it, and you kind of look in their faces and you think, no, you haven't. You don't know what you're talking about. Well, with Alice in Chains, you always kind of knew they did, which was really scary, because any man who actually understood what he was singing about, if that's what he was singing about, it was a very lonely, lonely time. One of the songs that, you know, we say, how the hell are we going to play this video? Because of the title, but it kind of sums up what they are. We're going to play the song We Die Young, but here is Layne Staley, I guess, talking about inspiration and what went into making this track.
We Die Young, about gang violence. That was something that was happening in Seattle, and something that, you know, kind of opened our eyes. It just seemed like things were getting out of hand. Incidents where kids were getting shot and getting their tennis shoes ripped off of their dead bodies, you know. And it just seems like these kids are dying at, you know, younger and younger ages, and getting involved in gang activity so young, and that's basically what that song was about. Just, you know, how the young are dying, you know, and they're dying younger and younger, and getting involved in drugs and gang activity.
Then you
As we die young, Alice in Chains here on a special edition of Loud as we take a look at the music and the life of Layne Staley, who has lost his battle with his own personal demons and was found dead at the age of 34 in his apartment in Seattle. I don't know if you've known anybody who's died from a drug overdose, or you or yourself are battling it, but people talk about drugs being, the use of drugs being like a victimless crime and all. If you think it's victimless, ask the people. Ask the people who know the people that lost. And I mean, I'm sure like a lot of you who have lost people to something as ugly as heroin, can tell you that you're out of words. Sean Kinney, in an interview, just said flat, he goes, "My heart is broken." That's what he said about the lost album. "My heart is broken. Do you have any idea what this feels like?" And he doesn't know what else to say. It's personal, man. And Jerry Cantrell, it's a tough time because Jerry's out doing a solo project, but obviously because of his relationship with Layne Staley, he's always asked about it. And you can understand why people ask about it, because they're genuinely concerned. They want to know what's going on, with Layne Staley, and what's going on with his health. And in an interview with Sukyin, he asked him that question, and he kind of gives his answer saying, Layne's fine. But watch the clip, watch the look in his eyes, and watch how his face changes. And you'll see that Layne wasn't fine. And you can see it right there. And you can see that if you don't think it hurts anybody else, look at Jerry Cantrell's face. You'll see it in an interview with Sukyin Lee.
Layne Staley, okay.
He's fine.
He is?
Yeah.
Good.
He's fine.
Right on. And I had to, like,
Yeah, I know.
you might as well say it up front.
It's just very funny every time I get that question, I think I'm supposed to get some sort of status report on it. No, he's fine. He's probably home recording a song right now.
Cool.
Yeah.
So he's better than ever?
Actually, he's conditioning himself for the Nagano Olympics. The ideas that I come up with are good ideas, but the performance of them, the way Layne sings and stuff, and you just can't beat that shit, man. And Sean and Mike, I mean, that's what really brings it out, and it's an intangible thing that you can't put your finger on, but there's like a serious chemistry there, that would be really tough to find elsewhere.
Every day it's something against me, also gone. Find me sitting by myself with no excuses, and I know.
Layne's just, I don't really know how to explain him. He's amazing. I mean, the way he sings and the harmonies that he comes up with are wrong, but they're right in a way. And the way that he does stuff is just, man, off the top of his head, it's just like so quick, and it's just so there. It's really natural, and he's very insightful too as a person, very sensitive, very very intuitive to what's going on around him and with other people, and again, he's my best friend in the world.
Well, there you go. There's his best friend. As you put it, it's Jerry Cantrell talking about Layne Staley, and now he has to face a life without his best friend. Yeah, so thanks for sticking around and being a part of it with us. I know this has been a kind of a heavy hour. Whatever, man. That's life, right? And this is what happens when you lose people that impact you. So if you are battling something like this, I know it's hard when people, like me, some jackass on TV looks at you and says, you're not alone, but you're not. And there are people who do really want to help, and they don't even have to know you to want to help. So if you're worried about, bringing people who you know and love in on this because you don't want, for whatever reason, to involve them, you don't have to bring in people you know, man, because you can, but you can call people who don't even know, who do want to help you. And we have a phone number for you. It's the Center for Addiction and Mental Health. It's 1-800-463-6273, 1-800-463-6273. They want to help. That's why they're there. And like I said before, this isn't cynical. Oh, another rock star died of a drug overdose. Because every time you say that, what you're doing is you're taking out the fact that somebody's son has died. It's not cool. That's all. It's just not cool. Thanks for being a part of it. For a lot of people, a lot of different ways, Layne Staley and Alice in Chains affected them. But if you really wanted to see how haunting Layne became and how far he had sunk, all you had to do was watch the Unplugged. If you saw the Unplugged, you could take a look in his eyes and see his face and see what happened, and you could see everybody else around him, and they knew that this was serious. So we will leave you with this Unplugged Alice in Chains, and yeah, we'll see you next time.